Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Gold Rush Daily, being the September 23rd of 2025, and again, another all-time high for gold. So, before we look at the technicals, fundamentally, we are looking at the flash manufacturing and service PMI for the dollar. Any figure above 50 is good for the economy, but again, remember, of course, there's the surprise effect. The market has to react. That is the spikes. For those who trade the spikes, the difference between the actual and the forecasted figure, of course, the market is going to spike or react on that. But generally, any figure above 50 is good for the economy. Below 50, it's a weak economy. At 7:05 p.m., we'll be having a speech from the Fed chair, Mr. Jerome Powell, who will be speaking in Rhode Island. Who will be speaking in Rhode Island. And basically, this is an economic outlook, and it will be held specifically at the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce Economic Outlook Luncheon. Okay, so of course, audience are expected, and therefore means questions will be expected, and therefore that means that the market are gonna react. So maybe probably will the sentiments will be either hawkish or dovish, but I'm looking at a dovish at an hawkish sentiment, maybe probably guided by the sentiment that he also stood with during the conference. That is last week's FOMC presser. Okay, so yesterday we were able to see Governor Stephen Milan, who is Federal Reserve governor, and expressing some dissatisfaction why broke from his colleague in last policy meeting, and saying that according to him, he thinks that the rate should be 2 points lower than the current rate. That is looking at the structural shift in the economy. If they are taken into account, Milan feels that the rate should be 2 points lower. Okay, and he vowed not to go along with consensus decision that he doesn't believe in. Okay, so besides that, we'll be hearing other Federal Reserve Committee. The Fed Chair Jerome Powell will be speaking alongside other several Fed officials throughout the week. So it's good to listen to them so that we can listen. We can be able to get the sentiments, the market sentiments. Okay. So looking at maybe probably we begin by looking at gold. Looking at dollar index, and the dollar index from the daily time frame, we have been seeing a bearish sentiments, and the market respecting this level again, hitting the trend line here, pushing lower. Okay, so we have been looking at those bearish sentiments, and we see from the 4-hour time frame the market actually respecting the 4-hour OB, or the 4-hour engulfing, and we are seeing a lower prices. Of course, I'm looking at this point, the fact that it was respected here, price broke above, respected it, broke like that here, and then it respected it again. So this is a point, even though not really that high. Not a very key point, but it's a point that is likely to see some reactions of prices, either a pullback or maybe probably a reversal of the price breaking below and pushing down, which is my sentiment, my buyers, or I'm looking at a more weaker dollar. So I'm anticipating the moment the price breaks this level, then we'll be pushing all the way down to taking out maybe probably these liquidity levels that we have at that particular point. Okay, so we are still looking at a bearish or a weaker dollar index. Okay, so now looking at gold, gold, we are creating all-time high. The current all-time high is at that 9420, that 7.59420. Okay, that's where we have the current all-time high, and we see the price each and every day gold creating all-time highs. Okay, so and it has extended its gains actually for a 6 straight week. If you look at the weekly time frame, okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is the sixth week that gold is extending its winning streak, and that tells you that we are very bullish. Okay, we are looking at a very bullish sentiment. Of course, the US dollar and the treasury yields, which are easing, okay, and which began actually even this week by easing. We are seeing a weaker dollar index. We are seeing the treasury yields pushing lower, and this actually even adds a fresh support to the bullion sentiments for gold. Okay, so right now the theory of buying the dips really applies very well in gold. Okay, because any pullbacks will warrant some buying opportunities. Okay, so but also to understand the main drivers behind the gold rally, it's not only the weakening of the dollar and the yields pushing lower, but also we are looking at the expectation. The market is reacting from the expectation of the US rate cut or looser monetary policy. Okay, because there are the sentiments that the market is likely to price itself, or we are likely basically to see another rate cut, maybe in the fourth quarter, by 25 basis points before the year ends. Okay, and that is what the market reacts to. Remember, I've always told you the market tends to react to those kind of sentiments very aggressively, rather than even the cutting of the rate itself. Okay, and the reason why we are seeing now gold really pushing higher, creating all new time highs. Every day we are seeing a new all-time high. Of course, there are some inflation concerns again, and anytime we have inflation concerns, gold is considered as a safe haven. Okay, so apart from that, we have been able to see central banks buying and demand. Okay, so central banks have been buying gold reserves, especially those central banks from emerging markets, which have been heavily buying gold reserves in a way to diversify from the dependency of the dollar and other fiat currency. And these again boost the demand of gold. Okay, and the reason why gold prices are pushing higher. Of course, we cannot rule out the geopolitical tension and risk, whereby the conflict, trade tensions, etc., tends to boost demand for gold. In unstable times, people seek assets seen as safer or more stable, and gold being one of them. Okay, so my projection is that by the end of this year, maybe probably before the end of this year, we shall clock the 4,000 at the 4,000 levels. And maybe probably in 2026, we are going to hit the 5,000 levels. Okay, the 5,000 level. That means $5,000 per ounce. Okay, so the good thing is that this is recorded and we shall revisit it. But again, that is my projection. Okay, that is my projection or my analysis. Yeah. So looking at gold from the daily time frame, we see bullish sentiment after some bit of contraction around this level. We are seeing a bullish sentiment, the market creating BOS here, all right? Or taking out the buy side liquidities here where we had the all-time high, which now becomes a BOS. And therefore it means, if, like we said yesterday, if the market retraces from the daily time frame, this is the level that will be positioning ourselves for more buying. Okay, so if you come to the lower time frame, that is the 4-hour time frame. Of course, this was the previous all-time high, and here now we have it as our BOS. Okay, we have it as our break of structure. So a break of structure, and therefore that means if the price retraces to these levels on the 4-hour time frame, therefore we will be looking at some buying opportunities. So these are the opportunities to load some buying entries. Okay, to load some buying position, because right now we are talking about the concept of buying the dips. Okay, so but again, even as you buy the dips, you're not just buying the dips aimlessly. You want to position yourself basically to take a high probability setup. So from the 4-hour time frame, you're still looking at some bullish sentiment, even though these 4-hour candle closed as an indecision candles, because you're seeing a weaker, a long weaker, long upper wicks and long lower wicks, which is showing rejection of prices on both sides. But again, how the current 4-hour candle, which is forming bullish, will close, will determine maybe probably where the price is likely to go. But at this particular juncture, this is not where maybe probably you want to rely on candlesticks patterns alone, but also you want to rely on other factors that really drive gold. And we have talked about the expectation of the US rate cut. We have talked about the weakening of the US dollar because gold is priced in USD. We have talked about inflation concerns and therefore gold looking at it as a safe haven. And therefore we have talked also about the central bank buying, which is boosting the demand of gold, the geopolitical tensions, and even lower real yields. And so if you factor these with your technicals, you do your analysis very perfectly, and therefore you are looking at an instance whereby we are going to see more higher prices for this particular commodity. Okay, so looking at it from the 4-hour time frame, these are some of the key zones. From the 1-hour time frame, allow me to push slightly on the 15 minutes time frame so that we can be able to look at some key levels here. So these are some of the entries that we had yesterday. These are some of the entries that I had marked yesterday in the Gold Rush daily analysis. And as you can see, these were some good buying opportunities during the New York kill zone. The price came to that level after creating a BOS. We had a very good buy. So those who took some time to watch the yesterday's Gold Rush and mark the zones well, I think you are able to get something. Again, today, we have seen the price continue rallying, and we had a very nice entry here today after the price created the BOS here. I think during the Asian session, Asian kill zone, and the price rallying up again 100 plus pips, which is quite a nice setup. You know, it feels good when you have this kind of a setup even before you go to your place of work. Okay, so already you have hit your daily targets, and still there are so many opportunities that are unfolding in these financial markets. So what has basically what the price, what gold has done, we have seen. Maybe you can allow me to push this aside. So we have seen the price, the market come sweep liquidities at this particular point, and therefore we are pushing higher. So where are we going to? We are looking at the next liquidity levels, which is 3759.42, and of course you are looking at the market flipping the 3760 level. Okay, so right now we are working with key levels, because above this level we don't have, we are working with key numbers or whole numbers or psychological numbers, because above this level we don't have any other level that we can rely on in terms of maybe probably projecting where the price is going to go. So from that 760 we'll be looking at that 780, that 790, that 3800 respectively. Okay, so right now we are seeing the market pushing on the downside. If you look at it from the 4-hour, at the daily time frame, the 15 minutes time frame, I want to see a BOS take place here, and therefore once that happens, the market will push down maybe probably to this potential OB, and therefore that's the level that we'll be looking at our buying opportunities. Again, if you extend this level, we are looking at a potential support zone at this particular point, at this particular level here, which means that looking at it in terms of support and resistance, this is a level that is likely to push prices higher. But the moment we see the price break below that level, then we will be having our OB at this particular point. Of course, you can go to the lower time frame, but this is the buying to minimize the risk. But this is the buying zone that you should be looking at the moment. Okay, so but from the 5 minutes time frame, of course, you realize that the market having taken out several liquidities, internal liquidities there, and therefore it means that if the market retraces almost maybe probably to the same level like this, because these are two levels that are close to each other, therefore we are likely to get some buying opportunities from that particular point. Okay, so with that, make sure you mark your levels well, gold tends to respect the support levels, the order blocks, the supply and demand levels. So make sure you mark them precisely and just sit patiently waiting for your entry. So with that, I wish you a fruitful week. I wish you a fruitful day. Remember to trade with discipline, to remain focused, and also to trade with purpose.